If you clicked on this video, there's a good chance you, like me, are an aspiring writer. And if you're serious about your craft, there are 3 habits that you need to develop and maintain. The last one really sucks. Hi, I'm Lulu. Welcome to my channel. Before we start, do me a favor. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. You may have noticed a little change in set. I have basically been living in my car this week and have had no time at home, so we're doing this on the road. So yes, becoming a talented and successful writer and maintaining your skills takes more than 3 steps, and there's never any guarantee of success. Luck has a large part to play in that. I can't make anyone any promises. Not even the most famous, talented, and successful of authors bestowing their juiciest tidbits of advice can assure you of anything. But there are 3 essential lifelong habits every writer needs to develop if they want to become better at their craft and have any chance of success in this oversaturated industry. These things seem stupid obvious at face value, but I'm gonna dig into them a little deeper. Let's get right into it with our first necessity. Reading. Yeah, no kidding. Writers need to be readers, obviously, but you'd be surprised at how many people who claim to want to be novelists haven't actually picked up a book in years because they think books are boring, but they want to write them, I guess. I suspect that this is because a lot of people like movies and shows, but they have this bonkers idea that 1, the skills and methods for writing screenplays are identical for writing novels, which no, they are not. And 2, that becoming a successful, famous screenwriter is harder than becoming a successful, famous novelist. So writing novels is an easier entry point into the life of fame and fortune. Spoiler alert, both goals are almost impossible. That's like if someone who loves the snow but hates getting in the water decided to become an Olympic swimmer because they think it'll be easier than becoming a professional skier. Sorry, but both are only for the most serious, dedicated, and elite athletes. If you're going to push your body to the limit like that, push it to something you love doing. If you don't make the cut, which is highly likely even for the most talented and hardworking, at least you're threw yourself into your passion, so you don't have any regrets for trying. Same goes for storytellers. If you can't force yourself through a book, but you love everything about films, well, I think we know which impossible goal you should shoot for. But if you devour books and only really watch movies based on them so that you can complain about how the film got it all wrong, well, welcome to the club, fellow novelists. Okay, so now that that obvious thing about reading is out of the way, let's talk about the slightly less obvious. Serious writers need to read, of course, but are they reading widely enough? Reading in the genre you write in is an absolute necessity, of course. New releases, classics, random obscure books you find in the little free libraries. But one thing that doesn't seem obvious right off the bat, but is still an invaluable habit, is reading outside your genre. You would be surprised at how beneficial that is. I primarily write fantasy, but I've learned so much and gotten endless inspiration from autobiographies, westerns, sci-fi, litfic, horror, mysteries, you name it. It really gets your brain moving in directions you'd never have expected if you hadn't broadened your horizons. Okay, so we've hashed out the very obvious step of reading. The second step every aspiring writer needs to take is writing. Oh yay, more of me stating the obvious, right? Well, I really do have to specifically mention writing as a necessity for a few reasons that might not be so obvious. First off, many writers tend to think that sharing writing memes, creating mood boards, and deciding cover art on Canva counts as writing. Because, you know, you're getting in the zone. It's the vibes, man. Sorry, but vibes and mood is nowhere near enough to complete a full novel. That's like trying to get pregnant by browsing dating sites. That's not how it works. Sorry, but if you want to write a book, you actually have to sit down and write. Yes, even when you're not in the zone, which is most of the time. More often than not, you have to force the zone on yourself. It's hard. It's not always fun. Discipline is the key, not feelings. Take note, George R.R. Martin. A second reason I specifically mention writing as a necessity for writers is that you will end up writing a lot of things that never actually make it into a book, and you have to be okay with that. These will end up as deleted scenes, or maybe you just need to work out a backstory or lore or whatever. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, research, diagrams, maps, timetables, you name it. But here's another thing. The writing you sometimes have to do has nothing to do with your current work in progress at all. Sometimes I just can't write a darn thing. Yes, I am a plotter, so my story is all outlined ahead of time, but that does not spare me from this affliction. I'm nowhere in the zone, I'm not in the mood, and even rigid discipline is failing me because try as I might, everything I write is terrible. I put down a few words, die a death of 1,000 cringes, then delete everything. you might recognize this as writer's block. And the only way I've ever found to unblock myself is by writing. That probably makes no sense, but let me explain because hopefully this tip will help other blocked writers. This is something I do when writing the actual story just isn't working. I open up a fresh document and just word vomit. If there are story issues I need to work out, I'll do it there. More often than not, however, the issues that I need to work out are with me and not my story. All of that goes straight in the writing journal. It's like I'm having a conversation with an invisible person where I'm just venting. If I'm feeling down on myself and I'm all tangled up with the crushing feeling that I'll never be a good writer, I write it all out. All my stupid little whiny feelings I'd never say out loud to a real person because my gripes are just that pathetic. I have a dedicated folder on my laptop exclusively for this. While it's really just pages upon pages of me spiraling, I call it my writing journal. Not a daily journal or a journal for writing stories. A journal I turn to when I cannot write, so I just spill my guts to myself. I can't figure out what the heck is wrong with me unless I tell me or something. I'd share the kinds of things I write in there just to provide examples, but they're pretty cringy and self-pitying. It's embarrassing, but it works. I take 20 minutes to bitch to myself and get it all out like lancing a boil, and then I find that suddenly, just like magic, I can continue writing my novel no problem. I was just creatively constipated, and the whiny writing journal is a mental laxative. Now we come to the final, and in my opinion, worst and most unpleasant step toward becoming a better writer: getting critical feedback. Yes, every writer's least favorite thing in the whole world. At least reading is fun, and a good writing day is extremely satisfying, but getting feedback basically always sucks. No matter how talented and successful you are going to have flaws in your drafts. That critical feedback is bitter medicine. You need it to get better, but it's not easy to swallow. And that taste lingers. Even if you know your story needs work, it's never easy to have someone point out those flaws. It's like finding out that you have lice. Yes, you want them out, but it's so embarrassing to have someone pick all those little vile parasites out of your hair. On top of that, once the flaws in your story are brought to your attention, you'll punch yourself in the face for not seeing them before. It's like when you can't find Waldo until someone points him out, and then you can't not see him there smirking at you. Yes, sometimes I'm blindsided by something a reader points out that I didn't realize was an issue, but more often than not, I'm left feeling like an idiot for missing so many obvious things that were staring me in the face all along. However, I would have remained forever blissfully ignorant of them had I not gotten that feedback. I would have known there was something wrong with the story, I just never would have diagnosed what it was. Here comes a few disclaimers about feedback, however. Firstly, getting feedback from friends and family is risky business. Usually you can't get them to read your stuff at all. It seems like they've always got some excuse lined up to wriggle out of it. But let's just say you actually get someone in your personal circle to read your work. How can you trust their feedback? If my mom read anything I wrote, for example, there is no way she would ever point out the flaws, either because she's just so proud of her little girl that she'd be blind to them, or because she'd care too much about my feelings, to be honest. That's an issue most of us will have to reckon with. But let's say you get a few objective readers who will give you honest feedback, no sugarcoating, no blind spots due to your personal relationship. It's not unusual, in fact, it's frustratingly common, that those objective readers will offer completely contradictory advice and have wildly different opinions from one another. One person hates a particular scene and demands that you cut it, while another adores it and says not to change a thing. What the hell are you supposed to do with that? Well, I made a whole video about that already, and you can watch it here or here, I forget which corner those pop up in, and I'll also post a link in the description of this video. But if you don't want to invest another 5 or so minutes into subjecting yourself to my nasally voice and dumb potato face, I don't blame you, so I'll just give a quick rundown of my thoughts on that right now. You cannot please everyone, and you shouldn't try. This does not mean ignoring criticism and only listening to the praise, nor does it mean cutting out the heart of your story to please someone who's never going to like it anyway. In the end, it's your story, you make the final decision, and you need to take the advice that makes your story better. More often than not, however, the advice that hurts the most is the advice you need to listen to the most. It hurts as much as it does because, well, you know they're right. If they weren't, you'd happily ignore them, and their criticism wouldn't bother you so much. If it does bother you, well, I think we know the reason why. One last thing I'll say about getting feedback, and this comes from Neil Gaiman, which yes, I know, he's a very naughty boy, but damn is that perverted bastard a seriously great writer, and what he advises about getting feedback is absolutely spot on. He says, when people tell you something's wrong or it doesn't work for them, they are almost always right. When they tell you exactly what is wrong and how to fix it, they are almost always wrong. When it comes to what exactly is wrong with my story and how to fix it, I personally defer to my gut. The reader hones in on a problem area I didn't notice. From there, I identify the root of the problem and work out the solution. This will likely be less of an issue if you're working with a professional developmental editor. I've done so several times before, and they're more equipped to identify the exact problems and potential solutions. But even when working with a pro, there have been a couple of occasions where one of their suggestions just wasn't right. Yes, they're professionals. Take their advice seriously. I mean, you pay way too much not to, and they're right 99 times out of 100. But in the end, they're still humans. Humans are really good at being wrong. I'd know because I am one. So those are my top 3 habits that every writer needs to have. Any others that you would want to share? Do you have any further points to add to my 3 tips? Drop your comments down below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell for more content like this in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully in my actual house.